speaking about next level, I mean, you've come such a long way. So joining Liberate and looking at the market. So if you had a trend meter, where do you see the market going? There's a lot of change going on at the moment. So a lot of talk about people going away from one-off learning interventions, more towards integrated learning ecosystems that people want to build and really become more of integrated into the business of things rather than sticking in learning and development. What are your thoughts about that?
I think, Christina, the great thing, or one of the greatest things about the learning and development sector is that it's true to its name. We're always learning new things. And so as a result, there's always change. So there's lots of new things happening all the time, some of it not so good. But one of the core things that I think we can all agree on is, regardless of the solution that you're implementing, regardless of whether it's a formal piece of learning or an ad hoc piece of learning, if it's not part of a bigger plan and it's just a singular entity on its own, then it's not going to have that much impact, or not as much as it could. I think when teams pull together a solution that has a lot of components, some formal, some informal, some just in time at your desk workplace learning, as opposed to formal classroom type situations or online learning somewhere. When you have that mix, you end up with a much richer, deeper learning experience. You end up with your formal training for some very specific, very much needed and required learning. It might be mandatory, it might be regulatory type learning, or it just might be a company policy. But at the same time, that only really ticks a couple of boxes in relation to learning. And unless you think about all the other things an individual needs to learn and grow and develop, then you're really missing a fair chunk of what you should be building in that learning ecosystem. And so when you do think about that, all those little bits, it can be a bit overwhelming. But I think when you just look back at the learner and look at the business and look at the requirements of the business, then you'll know that you need to fill in those little gaps as well.